Welcome for joining us. This is Shannon from Cascade Pet Camp.
And I'm Dana from Cascade Pet Camp.
And one of the questions we had posed to us from one of our clients or one of our viewers, it was, what do we consider essential commands or some essential commands that you first teach your dogs? And I think initially most people think sit, down, recall, things like that. But essential commands to us are a little bit different.
I think the very first thing that we talk about a lot, and people are probably sick of hearing about it, is actually an attention command. So for most of my world, that's some sort of random noise that comes out of me. It could be like a clucking noise or a kissy noise or even a puppy.
Or the dog's name.
Or the dog's name said in a happy and bright way, just to get their attention. But I think teaching a dog that humans have things to tell them and that we are valuable is actually a skill that is harder than people give their dogs credit for. They've been living, regardless of how you got your puppy, they've been living with other dogs and communicating in language that they understand, and they don't really always get that humans have good things to offer. And so teaching them that is probably the very first thing that I do as an essential command.
Well, and also we see this time and time again with people struggling with their dog is you can't get them to do anything until you get their attention. Yes. You need the attention and the focus. So yes, an attention word. The other one that comes to mind, the first thing I teach my puppies, whether it's a litter of very young puppies or puppy that's coming to my house, is wait. And whatever word you use for that, it's a command that means you are to stop your body for just a moment in time at first. You're stopping at a crate door. You're stopping at the front door. You're going to stop because I want you to, so I can put a piece of equipment on you, whatever. Stopping your body, I think, is really important for many reasons, but not only because it teaches them boundaries and it's a self-control exercise, but ultimately when we're screaming sit at our dogs, which we all do at some point, what we really want our dog to do is to stop and pay attention to us. Yeah. That's why I think that's more of essential in the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's a super good point about most people think of the essential commands as teaching your dog how to sit or lie down. But really when we're asking our dog, most of the time when we're asking our dogs to do that, what we want is either their attention or we want them to stop their body. We don't actually need them to sit. That's not imperative for what is coming next, but it becomes our default. And you could ask your dog to sit 100 times a day. And, you know, for some dogs, whether that's a puppy who's not all that coordinated yet, or an old dog who...
or a really big dog.
That could be painful or just flat difficult for them to do. And so I know that I've tried to transition away from, you know, working on a sit so much to working on stop your body in whatever position you happen to land in. The other difference,
essential.
Yeah, the other difference I think, and you taught me this many years ago, is that we both use the word wait for that momentary pause and body motion, and then we use stay as a longer duration body control, where the wait is often released with us saying okay or free, or
to me the wait, the dog is coming with you.
Yep.
So and the dog is to come towards you or with you through the door, or
and I always think of it as I'm trying to teach my dog to wait for additional instructions.
Yep.
So wait and more information is coming, and stay is I need you to just hang out in that spot that I've left you in until I come back and get you. And so we often parse that out a little bit differently. And I think starting that, if you are lucky enough to have a young dog in your life, starting that very young can be really clear for them. But of course, old dogs can learn new tricks, so you can also teach it to an older dog. So other than attention and wait,
leave it is my next favorite.
It's a good one.
I start teaching leave it to, I have dogs are impulsive, and I have naughty impulsive puppies, and so leave it to me is another essential. It's also teaching a dog some self-control. And once they realize leave it is I do not go forward and get what I want, it can be used in many different venues.
So do you use that for dinner?
I never use it for dinner. That's my wait command because you're going to release your dog. Leave it is do not pick up the Tylenol I just dropped on the floor by accident. Leave it is
dead salmon on the beach.
That's a graduate level command, but leave it is
our goal for leave
things
it,
dropping on the floor and cat running across or squirrel running across your way when your dog is being walked on a leash, things
or
like
even
that.
Another dog at the farmer's market, or the dog treats that are very strategically positioned in every dog store you walk into so that your dog can self-shop the low baskets. That's a good leave it. But we use it, I think both of us use it as something you are never supposed to get. We use wait for something that you'll be released to get, like dinner or a treat, and leave it is very clear the dog is not supposed to get that thing. Mm-hmm. I would say that's probably where we both start all of our puppies or all of the dogs that come into our world.
Right. And the reason for that is there is, teaching any dog to have some impulse control, self-control, whatever you want to label it, is really valuable for them. It's valuable for their brain. It's valuable for you to be able to communicate and teach them. And it really, really is a nice foundation for your recalls and your leash walking, which all pet owners struggle with.
Yep. And I think we see that more in our worlds, that when we've stopped working so much on a body position or a specific recall and we started working more on attention and impulse control, all those other things got better as a result, because we were actually, again, building in that we were valuable and that good things were going to happen if they paid attention to us. So I find my recalls are way better than when I tried to teach formal recall command without teaching getting their attention first, and that I'm a valuable person to pay attention to. Body position changes in the end up being fairly easy to train. It's just patience and however you want to do it, whether it's luring or shaping the behavior. That ends up being pretty simple thing that anyone can probably look up on any video and get their dog sitting in 2.5 seconds. The beauty of, most dogs for somebody my height is that even if you're short, most dogs still have to look up to you. And so as soon as they look up, their bottom hits the ground and you've got yourself a sit, without having to work too hard on that.
Plus, dogs are amazing latent learners. So those are a little bit harder, I think, to teach body control exercises or, the weights and the leave-its and the pay attention to me. So if you do, the younger you start or the earlier you start, when you come back to it later, months down the road, the dogs go, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
I got that one. So it's easier for them to put it in the bank. So one of the questions we get a lot in group classes is, my dog can't pay attention. He's, whatever vernacular you want to use it. It's usually the dog is over threshold. He's overexcited. He's very distracted. How do I get that dog in class to teach? And fortunately and unfortunately, the dog decides what they think is valuable for a reward, which I explain to people over and over again. And that's taken me years to get to. String cheese is my love language. I use it a lot. I like handling it for the dog training.
A little bit for me, a little bit for the dog.
But I do like the string cheese for many reasons. But not all dogs love it.
Yeah.
So you have to pick something else. And that's my easiest way to describe what is valuable to your dog. That being said, for the reward part of it, but that being said, taking the time it takes and being patient and getting those few breakthroughs.
And understanding that not every dog is going to start in the same place.
No.
So we obviously recommend taking group classes because we teach group classes, but that's not really for your dog other than to challenge you and your dog in a new place. It's for the person to learn the information to then go back and try it in a quieter, more controlled environment. So when people say, oh, I can't get my dog to pay attention to me in class, there's somewhere that dog is going to be able to do that. It could be in the garage. It could be in the car. It could be in your home waiting for dinner. It could be any number of other less stimulating environments than in class.
And then you proof it. And you practice
but you
it.
Taking the time to, like Shannen said, to take the time it takes and find the spot where your dog can pay attention to you. I know that both of us have high drive puppies, and we often have to start across the street to get a good behavior, and then the closer we get to the exciting thing, they just can't maintain it, and so we don't take them closer. We don't ask. They're not being obstinate. They literally cannot offer that control
at that point in time.
Yeah, at that point in time, and so then you work on it much more slowly. I think the short answer is you make it easier for the dog. If you cannot get their control in a group class or in the farm store or at the farmer's market, then you start where you can get it, and teaching them that pausing their body is going to lead to valuable access to things. Even if that reward is driving to the spit and letting your dog out to go play at one of the informal dog parks, they should have to wait before they get out of the car, so that they learn that wait gives them access to the reward of playing with other dogs. So one of the reasons I think we use wait as one of our essential commands is because we've both had experiences and friends of ours and maybe even close calls of our own where, because we travel a lot with our dogs, it becomes non-negotiable that they wait before they get out of the car.
Yeah, not to be too dramatic, but a wait or a leave it command could save your dog's life, right?
Absolutely. And if your dog doesn't run out of the car unleashed at a rest stop while you're driving and then doesn't know where they are, that is one of the most common ways that they get lost, is that they
or hit by a car
or those kinds of things. And same thing with leave it. If you can yell a leave it at your dog as they're running towards the road and they realize that means
or rattlesnake or skunk.
Wow, I really feel called out, Shannen.
Yeah, Dana. Dog ownership.
But it is, those types of things end up being very real world applicable. We both know of a dog who was lost at a rest stop and was lost for several weeks because they don't know where they are. They don't have a scent trail to follow back to you. Being lost in a novel.
Well, and no recall either doesn't help. But yeah, I mean, having a dog that knows clearly what is expected of them with consistency and practice, is a valuable life skill for the dog for so many reasons. So as we discussed in this short video today, sometimes essential commands are not just sit down and stay. We feel like what we talked about today are a little bit more essential, meaning the waits and the leave-its and just body control exercises and self-control exercises for puppies.
And this is stolen from another provider, but attention is the mother of all behavior. So that should be one of the very first things you work on as well. So if you want to know more, please feel free to reach out. Look us up on CascadePetCamp.com or reach out via social media.